Imagine collapsing at work, your heart giving out from years of bleeding yourself dry for family, only to wake up completely alone in the ICU. They didn't just leave. They flew to Cancun for beach cocktails and selfies. But every single night, a tall shadow stands outside your glass door, watching over you in silence. Who is he? And why does his name make your own mother's face turn ghostly white? The sterile white ceiling swam into view as I woke, but there was no mother's face waiting, no comforting touch, just the cold judgment of ICU machines beeping endlessly. The air smelled of antiseptic and regret. My body had betrayed me after years of carrying everyone else's weight. My chest ached like a vice had clamped down, fingerprints of pain left behind. I'm Rowan, 29, a 911 dispatcher in San Diego's sleepy suburbs. Night after night, I held strangers' lives in my hands while my own crumbled unseen. In our home, Logan was the golden boy. Surfer, endless smile, so much potential, my mother preached. I was the fixer, the backup. My father used silence like a weapon. If I hesitated, he'd let the quiet stretch until shame filled it. Do what you want, he'd mutter, meaning obey or disappear. It started small. Just cover this copay, Rowan. Then Logan's trips, Dad's meds, endless emergencies. Guilt wrapped in praise. You're strong. You'll figure it out. 5 years, over $90,000 gone, plus my sleep, my health. Hands trembled, vision blurred, words slipped away. I lived on vending machine scraps. That fatal shift, too warm, too bright. Third straight night. Call came. An old woman screaming, "My husband's not breathing!" I guided her through CPR, voice steady. But mid-count, my brain shorted. Screen blurred, lights stabbed, tongue heavy. Floor rose up. Someone yelled my name. Headset fell. Then nothing. Blackout. Waking, empty chair beside me. No family. I scanned for flowers, a bag, a jacket thrown over the arm. Nothing. Just the soft hum of a building that didn't care. Nurse Dana, kind eyes. They stayed 20 minutes. Travel plans. Cancun for Logan's event. Her pause screamed lies, the kind I'd heard in thousands of desperate calls. Lucky to survive exhaustion and arrhythmia, she said. But alone? That stung deepest. Messages later, half-hearted texts, beach selfie from Logan. Then Dana's whisper that night. Someone's visited every night since they left. My skin prickled. A tall figure by the glass door, standing guard for hours. He didn't enter, just watched like he feared intruding. Who was he? Why stand silent vigil over a stranger in the shadows? My heart raced, not from the arrhythmia, but from the unknown pulling at wounds I thought had healed. That name, Ethan Vale, landed in my chest like a stone dropped into still water. Ripples of memory surged up, cold and sharp. My mother had spat it years ago like poison, whenever Dad's medical bills piled too high or Logan's latest dream needed funding. "Don't you dare bring up Ethan Vale," she'd hiss, eyes narrow, as if the name itself could summon something dangerous. I'd never asked why. Asking questions in our house usually earned silence, or worse. Now he was here, paying my hospital bills, standing guard outside my door every night like a sentinel no one invited, but everyone needed. Dana slipped out quietly, leaving the door cracked. I stared at the ceiling tiles, counting them to steady my breathing. The monitor beeped faster whenever my thoughts circled back to him. Why now? Why me? And why did my own mother look like she'd seen a ghost when she saw his name repeated on that visitor log? The next evening, shadows stretched long across the linoleum. I heard soft footsteps, deliberate, careful not to disturb. Through the glass, I saw him again. Tall, shoulders slightly hunched as if carrying invisible weight. He stopped at the threshold, hands in his coat pockets. No flowers, no card, no forced cheer. Just presence. Steady. Unwavering. I lifted my hand, weak, trembling, and pressed it to the glass. He met my gaze. Even through the barrier, I felt the quiet intensity of it. He didn't smile. He simply nodded once, slow and certain, the way you acknowledge someone you've waited years to see. Then he lowered himself into the hallway chair, the same one my family had abandoned after 20 minutes. Sleep came in fragments that night, haunted by questions. When morning light filtered through the blinds, I asked Dana point blank, "What did he say when he paid the bill?" She adjusted my pillow, hesitating. He didn't say much, just handed over a card, asked that it stay anonymous on the paperwork. But when the clerk asked his name for the log, he gave it without flinching, like he knew someone might recognize it. My throat tightened. And my family? They not mentioned him? Dana shook her head. Not a word. Your mother's smile froze the second she saw Ethan Vale listed night after night. She tried to laugh it off, said it must be a mistake, but her hands were shaking when she signed the discharge forms she never got to use. I closed my eyes, letting the pieces settle. All those years I'd poured money into their lives, home repairs after storms, Logan's surfboard that meant everything, Dad's endless prescriptions. I'd thought I was buying love. Turns out love doesn't come with receipts. But this stranger had paid thousands without ever asking for thanks, without even stepping inside until he was sure I wanted him there. Day 8 arrived brittle and bright. I could finally sit up without the room spinning. Broth stayed down. Strength trickled back like rain after drought. That afternoon, the hallway stayed empty for the first time. No silent watcher. My stomach twisted with unexpected disappointment. Then the door eased open. He stood in the frame, not crossing the threshold, as if the room might burn him. Gray streaked his dark hair, eyes the same soft hazel as mine, something I'd never noticed in family photos because I'd stopped looking for resemblances long ago. His voice came low, careful. Rowan. Just my name, like it carried years of unsaid things. I swallowed. You're Ethan Vale. He nodded once. Why are you here? A long breath left him. I didn't want you to wake up alone. Simple words. They shouldn't have undone me, but they did. Tears burned behind my eyes, hot, sudden, furious at how much I'd needed to hear something like that. You knew my mother, I said, not a question. Once, a long time ago. His gaze dropped to the floor, then lifted again. I should have been here sooner. My heart stuttered, monitor alarm blaring for a second before settling. What are you to me? He looked straight at me then, no evasion. I'm your father. The word exploded quietly in the room. Not dramatic, not loud, just true. and terrifying. My mother had buried him in silence, erased him, replaced him with the perfect family portrait where I was the spare parts supplier. And all this time, he'd been out there, carrying the guilt, watching from a distance, waiting for a moment I might need him. I didn't speak. Couldn't. He didn't push. He simply stayed near the door, giving me space to breathe through the aftershock. Outside, the sun kept shining. Inside, something long frozen began, very slowly, to crack. The word father hung between us like smoke, impossible to ignore, impossible to breathe through. Ethan didn't move closer. He stayed rooted near the door, giving the truth room to settle without crowding me. My pulse hammered against the monitor leads taped to my chest. Every beep felt louder, accusing. I searched his face for lies, for the same calculation I'd seen in my mother's eyes whenever money or appearances were on the line. But there was only quiet regret. Lines etched deep around his mouth, the kind carved by years of carrying what no one else would. "How long have you known?" My voice cracked on the last word. "Since you were born." He spoke softly, each syllable measured. "Your mother, she made it clear I wasn't welcome. Said I'd ruin everything she was building. I believed her. For a long time." I let out a short, bitter laugh that hurt my ribs. "And you just disappeared?" "I tried once, when you were 8. Showed up at a school event with a gift I'd saved months for. She met me at the gate. Told me if I ever came near you again, she'd make sure the courts painted me as the monster. I was young, broke, scared. I left." The room felt smaller, the antiseptic smell sharper. I pictured a little girl, me, running across a playground, never knowing someone had stood at the fence, watching, then walking away because staying would cost too much. "And now?" I whispered. "Now I'm here because I saw your name in the news. Local dispatcher collapses on shift, critical condition." I recognized the station, recognized the story behind it. I knew what kind of weight you'd been carrying. His gaze dropped to his hands. I couldn't stay away this time. Silence stretched, not uncomfortable, just full. I thought of all the nights I'd lain awake after wiring money I didn't have, telling myself family was sacrifice. Thought of Logan's carefree beach photos while I counted compressions with a stranger whose husband was dying. Thought of the empty chair beside my bed when I first woke. "You paid the bills," I said. He nodded. "I had some savings, sold what I could. It wasn't enough to fix everything, but it was enough to keep them from hounding you while you healed." Tears slipped free then, not dramatic sobs, just quiet overflow. I wiped them angrily with the back of my hand. "They never told me you existed." "They didn't have to. You felt the absence anyway." He was right. I'd spent my life trying to fill a hole I couldn't name. The door swung open without warning. My mother's voice sliced through first, bright, commanding, vacation tanned. "Rowan, darling, I'm here for the discharge papers. Let's get you home, where you belong." She strode in like she owned the floor plan, heels clicking, sunglasses pushed up into her hair. Behind her, my father loomed, arms crossed, expression flat. Logan wasn't there, probably still catching waves somewhere sunny. Her eyes flicked to Ethan. The color drained from her face so fast it looked painful. She actually swayed. "What the hell are you doing here?" Ethan didn't flinch. "Visiting my daughter." The word detonated. My mother's head whipped toward me. "Don't listen to him. He's lying. He's always lied." I met her gaze, really met it, for the first time without apology. "Then why did your hands shake when you saw his name on the visitor log? Night after night." Her mouth worked soundlessly. My father stepped forward, voice low and dangerous. "This is family business. Get out." Ethan's reply was calm steel. "I stayed. You left for Cancun." The air crackled. My mother recovered first, pointing at me like I was a disobedient child. "You're being manipulated. He's using you to get back at me." I laughed, small, tired, final. "Funny. That's exactly what I used to think about you." Her eyes widened. I reached for my phone with shaking fingers, opened the banking app, turned the screen toward her. "Auto-pay canceled. Joint access revoked. The account you've been dipping into for years? Closed." Her breath caught like she'd been slapped. "You can't." "I already did." My voice stayed dispatcher calm, the one that steadies chaos. "And I changed my emergency contact. You're not on it anymore." My father's jaw clenched. "You owe us." "I paid you over $90,000. Consider the debt settled." My mother's face twisted, anger, fear, calculation flashing in quick succession. She opened her mouth to argue, to guilt, to threaten. Dana appeared in the doorway, arms folded. "Visiting hours are ending. Patient needs rest." My mother spun on her. "This doesn't concern you." "It does when it's my patient." Dana didn't budge. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then my mother did the only thing left when control slips away. She stormed out. Shoulders rigid, heels stabbing the floor. My father followed, throwing one last look over his shoulder. Not at me, at the monitors, but at the idea of me. Discarded. The door clicked shut. Silence returned, softer this time. Cleansing. My hands trembled harder now. Not fear. Release. Ethan stayed by the window, hands in pockets, not presuming closeness. "You didn't have to do that for me." "I didn't," I said. "I did it for me." Dana stepped closer, adjusted my blanket with gentle hands. "You did good, kid." I let out a shaky breath. "I feel like I'm going to be sick." "That's normal," she murmured. "Your body's finally catching up to what your heart already decided." Outside the window, the sun dipped low, painting the room gold. Ethan spoke quietly. "What now?" I looked at the empty chair beside my bed, the one no one had filled until he did, night after night, asking nothing. "Now," I said, "I heal, and I decide who gets to stay." A week later, discharge on my terms, I stood barefoot on cool sand near my apartment. Waves rolled in, steady and indifferent. My phone buzzed, voicemails I hadn't opened. Ethan stood a respectful distance away, hands in pockets, watching the horizon. "I still feel guilty sometimes," I admitted. He nodded. "They trained you to feel that way." I stared at the water. My mother always said family is who shows up. She's right. His voice was quiet, certain. I exhaled, long and slow. Then she's really going to hate the new definition. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. In that steady silence beside the ocean, I finally understood. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the stranger who sits outside your glass door for 10 nights straight, refusing to let you vanish alone.